What's up, Cavs fans? Spencer German, Spencer Davies with you here at the Cavs practice facility, which is a place that we haven't been able to be in the same place in quite some time. For logistical reasons, yes, but also because the Cavaliers honestly haven't practiced all that much, really since February.
Yeah.
So they finally get a chance to do that this week, get rested up, and that was something that the guys talked about today after practice. We're going to get into all of it with you here in this quick discussion. But Spence, obviously a couple of days away from the first playoff game for the Cavaliers, and we don't know the opponent yet. We'll find out later tonight. But I thought some good comments said today by Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, and DeAndre Hunter, who all bring different perspectives to this playoff run that the Cavs are about to embark on. And along the lines of the practice thing, I thought one of the most enlightening things that kind of came out of these conversations was just the fact that they really haven't practiced in a long time. And for somebody like DeAndre Hunter, who came over at the trade deadline, he mentioned only really having like one practice with the guys since the time he's been here, and how this week's been valuable and working on some communication, just kind of refining some things as they get back ready to get back on the floor.
Yeah, he talked about the terminology, and now that's a little bit different. The coaching style is a little bit different. But hey, playoff basketball, the best part about it, as he said, is that you're able to play. He didn't want to mention the referees or anything like that, but you're actually able to play the game that you love, and you're able to be physical, and you're able to kind of get up on people, like that. That's what playoff basketball is all about. And DeAndre was brought here, to your point and to your question to him, to be that final piece, to be that missing piece to push them over the edge into that championship contending window. And I feel like he has the ability to do that, especially off the bench with Ty Jerome. We'll see what happens with lineups later in the playoffs, of course. You know that things always change in the postseason, and maybe he ends up in the starting lineup with the core four at some point. But for now, we know that he's going to get a bunch of minutes. He's going to be a big part of this squad, and it's going to come on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I love that he said he really is embracing that idea that he's kind of the missing piece for this team to take that next big step in the playoffs. And to your point on the lineup thing, and I know we've talked about this ad nauseum, I don't know that it matters if he starts or Max Strus starts in the starting five, but like what matters is when Kenny deploys him. And I could see different instances where like maybe the end of a game, he's looking for more offense and he's like, hey, let's get one of those two out there, or let's get DeAndre out here with Ty Jerome. There's so many different ways that he can work this thing, and I'm fascinated to see how he uses those wrinkles or those levers in the postseason to help this team kind of go on a deep run potentially. Isaac Okoro just kind of hit on a couple of different things as well, how this team's kind of getting ready for this week. And I thought one of the most interesting things he alluded to is that like the difference between last year or the previous couple of years and this year is how Kenny's really emphasizing the health aspect of this team. They've had a chance to get off their feet, and it seems like they're all feeling pretty good here as they get ready to embark on this postseason.
Yeah, he emphasized the importance of rest and how guys are actually able to have a couple of days off before they started ramping back up again. And that's a difference in philosophy. That's a difference in the way that they prepare for their series. So I'm interested to see if they do look fresh coming in to Sunday's game, or if they have to take a little bit more to get more energy to come out of the gate, because the team that they will have played on Friday.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that have played an actual active game versus the Cavs, who have not played since last Sunday.
Yeah.
So that'll be
week.
Interesting dynamic, just at least early in the game for me. But Isaac, I thought the most interesting thing that he talked about was the difference between how he was used last year and how he was used this year, is that Kenny does not let him be stagnant. And the nice part about Isaac when he's not stagnant is he can do so many different things. He can set screens for you. He can cut. He's able to kind of just make a little bit of havoc in the half court, just because he's so powerful and quick bursted. And I think in transition, we know that Isaac's really good on the fast break, but I feel like when Isaac is not just standing there in the corner, there's a lot more dynamism that comes to this team, and I think that you're going to see that in the playoffs.
I asked him a couple weeks ago about like if this is the most comfortable he's felt with the Cavaliers and just like his role, and he kind of downplayed it, but I do feel like what you're alluding to and what he alluded to, the idea that that Kenny Atkinson's kind of used him and kept him sort of moving and constantly getting involved. I think that's part of the reason why I feel like that's been the case for him, why he seems like he's more comfortable than ever. And yeah, I'm curious to see, like, he's a guy who has something to prove, I think, this playoffs. There's a number of guys who do, but as a role player on this team, he's trying to sort of prove something out there. Along those lines, Evan Mobley has a lot to prove, and Isaac Okoro talked a ton, so did Max Strus a little bit as well, just on his evolution this season. I think you actually asked both those questions to both Isaac and to Max on the idea that, like, they understand, or he understands what his role is with this team, and that from day one when they like broke camp, Evan came in with this different attitude of, I know I got to be like the guy, and I got to sort of take the reins here and be almost on the same level as Donovan Mitchell in terms of like my importance and me demanding the ball, me doing things. And that's clearly translated during the regular season with the way that these guys have sort of played and just the effort that they've given and all those different things. But and his evolution's kind of taken that next step. But along those lines, like he now has to do it in the playoffs.
Most definitely. And I think that the way that he's handled the ball so far has been really good all year long. And the thing about him, too, is that outside shot is going to open up the floor so much for them. But it's not just on the offensive floor. We know what Evan's able to do on the defensive end. He's probably in the lead for DPOY right now from what I've been seeing around social media. Hopefully he wins that award. But it's really on each end of the floor for him. And I think Evan being a lead ball handler, bringing the ball up the floor after he rebounds it, making sure that he gets into actions and he's demanding the ball. He's the one that's going towards the basket. And you see that a lot through the videos that we have here on our YouTube channel talking about just Evan's importance as that kind of go-to guy. While we know that Donovan Mitchell is usually that person, Evan's going to have to take that step in order for the Cavs to take the step. And I think that that's a really important part of this too, is Evan's maturation in the playoffs. And like Max Drew said, what better time to show it than the postseason?
I don't want to give everything away because that is going to be something we talk about on the podcast later tonight, courtside with the Cavs on SI. We're going to wait until tonight's game goes final, until we know what team the Cavaliers are playing, and we'll get into some of those intricate details on like who has the most to prove and some of those fun conversations. So stay tuned for that. I know it's a Friday night. You can watch it over the weekend, listen to it over the weekend, but we're looking forward to that conversation. Along those lines, though, Spence, the game is tonight, Hawks and Heat, and I will say there were some comments sort of made about the idea that if it ends up being the Hawks, there's going to be, I think, a lot of smack talk going on between these two teams. Because you know George Niang is a talker. We saw it firsthand here in Cleveland. And even though it's his former team, you know he's going to like to give it to the guys that he used to play alongside with.
Most definitely. George in a playoff series is the villain in Cleveland 1 year after. How fun would that be? And, I mean, Karras does his talking on the court. We know that. He can come out and drop 25 on you any day. And he's obviously become a really good secondary playmaker, defends his ass off. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes to the Cavs, whether it is Miami or Atlanta, but I'm kind of pulling for Atlanta, to be honest with you. The way that we've been talking on the pod for like a month.
Storylines.
And that's just an amazing, amazing way to kick off the playoffs if that's the case.
No doubt about it. We will see and watch that game with you guys, find out what sort of transpires and who the Cavs will be playing on Sunday. We'll finally get our answer later tonight on Friday, and afterwards, jump in on a conversation with Spence and I. We'll have the latest episode of Courtside with the Cavs on SI to break down that matchup, some of the overarching topics kind of going into the playoffs for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's going to be a fun time. In the meantime, continue to like, follow, subscribe, review anything, or the podcast, but also any of the content over at the Cleveland Cavaliers and SI YouTube channel. And of course, read our written stuff over at si.com/NBA/Cavaliers, where we got you covered all postseason long with the best Cleveland Cavaliers content that you can find.
Draft's on his mind.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. Yesterday I'm in Berea, today I'm in Independence. It's all just blurring together. But appreciate you guys stopping by, and as I said, continue following along with all things Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers on SI.